Hey everyone, it's True Photography, and today we're going to talk about tripods. I'm going to give you 6 reasons why I think you should get a tripod and how I can make your photos go from this to this. So on that note, let's get into it. So the first reason to get a tripod is for low light situations. An example of this is astrophotography. So in astrophotography, your shutter speed is usually around 30 seconds in order to be able to get the whole sky exposed properly. And if you're trying to do this handheld, it's pretty much impossible because your hands are gonna be shaking and all this stuff, and that's gonna induce camera shake. And in the end, your photo is not gonna be very sharp and it's gonna be blurry. So you need to strap down that camera onto a tripod in order to be able to get the right shot for something in low light like astrophotography. So the second reason to get a tripod is for long exposure shots. Examples of this is when you are shooting a body of water and you want to look glass-like and get really nice reflections off of the water. Or another example would be waterfalls when you're trying to get a smooth looking flow of water. So you need a long shutter speed for this as well, like from 1 second up to like 5-10 seconds. And in order to do this, again, if you're shooting handheld, you're gonna have jitters trying to hold it steady for that long, and if you do that, again, your photo's gonna be not very crisp and you're gonna have camera shake in your shots, and I'll show a couple examples of this now. So the third reason to get a tripod is if you're shooting on a telephoto lens, so a really long lens. And the reason for this is if you're shooting handheld on a wide lens, so that it's harder to see camera shake on that. But if you're shooting on a long telephoto lens, every single movement you make, it is amplified a lot more on a telephoto lens. So if you think you aren't moving too much, but you take that shot and it's a little bit longer of a shutter speed, you will get camera shakes again, and your photo won't be that sharp, and it'll be a little bit blurry. So again, if you're shooting on a longer lens, I would suggest locking your camera down on a tripod and shooting off of there, because it will eliminate lots of camera shakes and your photos will just become that much better. So it's sunset right now and it's really bugged me not to be shooting, so we're gonna jump to my home studio to finish out the video, and I'll give you those last 3 reasons of why I think you should get a tripod, and I'll close out the video there. So let's jump there now. And we're back. So the fourth reason why I think you should get a tripod is for sunset photography. In sunset photography, there's lots of contrast. Your sky is very, very bright and your foreground or the ground is dark. And in this, if you just take one single photo, if you try to get your sky exposed properly, you're not going to be able to really see your foreground, or the ground's going to be really dark. And vice versa, if you expose your ground properly so you're able to see it, your sky is going to be really blown out and there's not going to be lots of details or anything in the sky at that point. So in order to get a really nice sunset photo, you need to bracket. And what bracketing does is allows you to get lots of HDR, or high dynamic range. And what this means is that when you bracket, you're taking photos at multiple exposures. So like a photo that's evenly exposed, a photo that's overexposed, and a photo that's underexposed. And what this does is that the overexposed photo, you can see the foreground and the ground in this shot, and then in your underexposed photo, your sky looks really, really nice and looks proper, and you get lots of details in this. So that when you go into post-production on your computer, you merge all of the photos together, and this gives you high dynamic range because you have lots of details in your sky as well as your foreground. But in doing this, in your camera, you take 3 photos or 5 photos or 7 photos back to back. And if you're doing this handheld, holding that camera steady and in the exact same place for 7 photos in a row, especially if your shutter speed's a little bit longer, this is really hard to do. And if you get shakes on the outside, your frames look a little different, it makes it really hard to merge them perfectly together in post. So what I suggest is you have to put on a tripod That way every single one of your photos is the exact same, so when you go into post-production it's easy to merge them together. The fifth reason to get a tripod is not for the tripod itself, but what it allows you to do. And what I mean by this is it allows you to slow down. So when I started on photography, I shot everything handheld, and I did kind of like a run and gun style where I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, where I would just see something I thought would look cool and I'd just put the camera up to my eye and just click, take a picture. And I didn't really think about composition or what would look good or what would look better. But once I got a tripod, it takes a little bit of time to set up a tripod. Like by the time you open it up, put it down, get your camera on it and locked in and everything, and get your settings right. And in this time, it lets you think about what exactly you're taking the picture of. If you could take a better composition where like if you moved over, you could get something else in the frame or not in the frame. And yeah, so just it lets you slow down just that little bit to let you think about what you're actually shooting and why you're shooting it and how you can make that look better. So that's the fifth reason. It just allows you to slow down just that little bit to get the best possible picture. And final reason why I think you should get a tripod is it makes your photos more interesting. And it does this in multiple ways. It does it through being able to bracket your photos and getting lots of high dynamic range. It allows you to take longer exposures and allows you to have really glass-like water. It also allows you to shoot different compositions and kind of at different angles. So I was this was a big problem for me when I first started shooting out. I shot everything at eye level. So I just stood up straight, put the camera to my face and took a picture. And I never really thought about getting low to the ground or trying getting higher up just to see what it would do to my photos. And once I got a tripod, I started shooting mostly more lower to the ground, especially when there's water involved. Like I said, if you're able to get a longer shutter speed and get low to the ground, it makes that water really glass-like and you can get really cool reflections. So is a tripod for you? No, not necessarily. It kind of depends on your style of photography and if you think it will benefit you or not. The tripods kind of give a divide in the photography community. Some people swear by them and use them on every single shot they take. Other people that maybe are doing portrait or run and gun style, like if they're shooting in like a city or stuff like that, they probably won't use one because they think it will just weigh them down. They don't really set up for their shots. For me personally, I use a tripod about 80% of the time when I shoot because I do more of the landscape and especially more of the sunset photography, and I'm always bracketing my shots, so I always need to be on a tripod for those shots. But for you, it's gonna be personal preference. You can get a tripod for pretty cheap on Amazon. You can get a pretty cheap one for like 30 to 50 bucks to start out with and try it out and see if it is something for you or not. And then if you do like that tripod or like tripods in general, you can upgrade to a better one. The more expensive the tripod, it usually will be a little bit lighter. It will definitely be more stable. And sometimes they just have those extra little unique things to them that make them that much better, like a quick release or something like that just makes your photography experience just that much better and easier. So so just check them out, see if you think it would benefit you. And I'll have another video coming out about the settings for using it on a tripod compared to shooting handheld, because depending on your camera and what if there's image stabilization in your camera and stuff like this, you do need to tweak your settings a little bit because you can get camera shakes on a tripod if you don't have the right settings. Just from the camera trying to stabilize itself on a tripod makes the camera shake a little bit, or if you don't have a shutter delay and you press the shutter button on a tripod, it kind of goes into, like, your pressure goes in the ground, that comes back up through the tripod and it makes it shake. But again, I'll have a video on the settings for what you need in a tripod comparing to shoot handheld. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. If you are subscribed already, thank you very much. I'm just starting out in this YouTube world and trying to just help people shoot, take better photos. Catch you on the next video. Bye.